Yeah. Well, I think that some people think of sales as where you're selling somebody something that they don't need or that they shouldn't have, as opposed to maybe, I mean, a doctor is a salesman. A doctor is going to encourage you to take your pills, and he has to sell you on taking your pills. And it's a good idea to take your pills, but it's still selling. And so even you don't have to be, getting over on somebody to be a salesperson. You're just helping them to make a decision that is a good idea to make. Right. And you're taking a little bit of the fear away. And we all have fear in decisions. And so,
except for doctors use fear to make you.
Yeah, that's true.
If you don't take the pill, you're going to die.
Yeah, that's true. I've never seen a car that if you didn't buy, you were going to die. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Used Cars, where he puts the rock behind the car, and they back up, and the beagle dog plays dead, and he's holding the beagle dog, and he's like, Toby would have liked you to buy the car.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals. Mostly.
Yes, today's an interesting episode because every now and then we go outside the purview of Middle Tennessee, and we're kind of going to Parma, Ohio, but not really, because you're part of you're out of Atlantic City-esque area.
Yes, I am.
Bring that mic closer to you.
You got it.
We want to hear you.
All right.
And every now and then we bring people from the outside because we have great conversations nonetheless that can help small business owners who are listening to this podcast. Yes, this is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast. I am Jim McCarthy, your host. It is coming to you from the Christian Brothers Automotive Studios of Spring Hill. Check out my friend Jason Miller out there. He's a great guy to know. And it's powered by Muletown Bikes right there on Columbia, on the square in Columbia. And I ask everybody this, and the listeners are probably tired of me asking this, but have you tried the e-bike thing yet?
I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
You have e-biker gangs around where you live, like little kids that are just like, I call them e-biker gangs.
Yeah, they ride by doing wheelies,
yes,
like 4 or 5 in a row,
yes,
running red lights, running stop signs. Yep.
Everybody around here is all up in arms about them because they feel like they're hooligans, and I'm like, but they're outside. They're not on a tablet or anything like that. What's the problem here?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that worries me is when they run red lights or stop signs, because we actually had a young boy that was killed last year near us,
right,
by running through a stop sign. And if they're on bike trails or if they follow the rules, and just stay safe. I agree with you. I think kids outside is wonderful.
But I think ultimately that, I hate to put it this way, I think that has to happen because, you get a couple of those cautionary tales. It kind of puts the other kids in check, like, oh, okay, this really can happen. Yeah. Because even when, us growing up, we rode bikes. We got hit. You know what I mean? Yeah. We didn't pay attention to traffic rules. We weren't going 35 miles an hour, though, either. But, so hopefully that, I got into it, and I've been using it as my 50-year-old guy workout methodology. I take the e-bike out, and it tackles the hills around here quite nicely.
I haven't bought one yet for myself, but last week my wife and I were joking about it. I ride the boardwalk a lot, and I rode all the way down the boardwalk, and I could feel the wind at my back, and I was like, this is going to be hard coming home.
Yeah.
And then it was 23 mile an hour wind on the ocean that day, right in my face, and I was like, man, I wish I had an e-bike.
Yeah. It's nice because, it helps you extend the ride. You still get your calorie burn, and it's like by that time when you're about, 35, 40, 45 minutes in, your body is really heated up by that point. And I think when you do that heat tends to last a lot longer after the ride. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm finding, at least. My problem is getting the diet in check, but at least I'm moving.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We got here on Friday. I've already had Mas tacos. I've already had Bold Idiot chicken sandwich. We had the Nashville biscuits, so my diet is my problem too. Right.
And it's funny, as a tourist coming to the town, you're eating a lot of the food I've never eaten yet. Oh. I haven't seen, I hear about these things from people who visit, and I'm going, oh, I probably should check that out, But that's kind of funny. So our guest today is Brian Ankney.
Yes.
With Babcox Media.
Yes.
And we met a few years back. You had me on one of your podcasts, the Car Wash podcast, show, if you will. Yeah. What's it called again?
Wash Talk.
Wash Talk.
Yes.
And we talked all things lighting for car washes and all that fun stuff. And it's kind of, it's always interesting to see yourself on another publication, another program, especially when it's like, I'm used to seeing myself in this situation, but seeing myself in your studio, I'm like, oh, that's what the other side of my face looks like. you know?
Yeah.
But it's interesting what you guys are doing. So, and those of you who are listening, this is a good episode if you're constantly finding new ideas that kind of niche down into different areas, which is what Babcox has really done. They've on the umbrella, and correct me if I'm wrong, they really kind of started out in the automotive sector overall. But since they've niched down into the car wash, retail automotive, body shop, repair industries, but basically under that automotive umbrella, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we started 106 years ago with tire review, and all we did was print because that's all there was. And whereas a lot of, everybody knows that a lot of print has gone away. Yeah. Babcox Media, we were really, really good at reinventing ourselves over and over and over again. I mean, heck, since 2019, maybe 4 times. We still do print, but we do a lot of digital, and we do a lot of video, and we do a lot of podcasts, and we do a lot of targeting. And now, AI search gave us the biggest gift in the world. Towards the end of last year, we got heavily into AI search because what does AI search love? Easy, consumable, short videos that do well on social media that you put captions on.
Yeah. Well, you said since 2019, a lot of pivoting has happened. Is that because of COVID?
We kind of got lucky. We put in that huge garage studio into our building in October of 2019 because we knew video was going to be, the direction that we wanted to go. And then COVID happened. And, COVID kind of forced a lot of our customers to come see this beautiful thing we had built because Apex couldn't happen. NADA couldn't happen. All these massive trade shows couldn't happen, but people still had a virtual trade show. And nobody knew what a virtual trade show was. They needed video. And there, as far as I know, there's only 2 garage studios in the United States, and Jay Leno won't share his. So, so we shared ours. And in a matter of like 2 months, all the big players had been in our building and seen this beautiful new thing we built. And it springboarded us. We went from 30 or 40 videos a month to thousands of videos a year.
Well, that's the crazy thing is that, when I went and visited you guys, I never understood the scale that you guys were operating. It was until I got there, how many tentacles are touching different aspects of the overall automotive business. But to see those opportunities, is it more of a team effort? Or because just talking to you, you're one of these people that can see opportunities and identifies holes in the market very quickly, it seems, as we've talked over the years, especially recently, Yeah. Is it something of a group effort that, Bob, that takes, awareness of the industry. That takes being able to see the holes in the market. Is that a team thing that everybody thinks in the same direction, or does it kind of come from you, or how does that work?
Oh, it's everybody on the team. I mean, everybody's encouraged to do that. And really probably a lot of the great ideas that we get come from our customers. I mean, because we're involved in everything they do that's kind of customer facing for them. And so when a customer says, I wish we could do this, and then you hear that again from another customer, and then you hear that again from another customer, you say, holy moly, there's an opportunity there. Let's go after it. Let's figure out how to solve that problem.
It's funny because 108 years old.
106.
106.
Yep.
Memory issues. Got to love it. 106 years old. It doesn't seem like, hey, this is just the way we've always done things has been part of your ethos. Like you're talking about the market telling you where to go, which is something I talk about on this podcast a few times. That's what we do here at J2. The market tells you where to go. We started out just doing regular lights. Then the car wash has said, well, that's great, but can you make them change colors? Mm-hmm. And we're like, well, let's see. And then we went with the market, and all of a sudden that exploded for us. Now we're getting into video walls, LED video walls, because that's where the car wash customer wants to go. The people that own and operate the car washes are looking to put video walls in. So, hey, it's somewhat congruent. Let's go that way. Mm-hmm. Is that something that, was that ever a part of Babcox's ethos where, hey, this is just the way we've always done it? Or were they always a forward-thinking company?
I can't talk to 100 years ago. Yeah, I can't talk about 100 years ago because I wasn't there. But I mean, as long as I've been there, that is 100% the way that it's been. And right. I mean, I don't know the actual statistic, but there are very few companies that live to be 100 years old.
Right.
And we're one of the only ones out there that's still family owned. I mean, our CEO is the grandson of the gentleman that started the company. And
wow.
And I think that gives us a lot of power to pivot. I mean, I've worked for larger companies in the past, and a lot of times there's too many layers of management to say no. You can have a lot of great ideas that just die while you're waiting for a decision. With
They can't pivot. They're not wily.
Yeah.
They're not able to move.
Yeah. I mean, like when we got into the 360 spin photography, I mean, heck, that might've been 7 years ago. That was an idea that a customer had, and I'm not even kidding. Within a month, we had a 360 spin studio in the building. I mean, like we just saw the needs and did it.
So you got one of those platter things?
Yeah.
And you put the cars on them so they can...
Well, no, not cars. It's more for parts.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is the very first one that I sold was for shocks, and they wanted the shock to spin like this, which, it's
like on an angle.
Yeah. And that, I mean, so we kind of got the hardest project first, and my team figured it out. They actually used fishing line. So it would spin on that little microwave spindle thing, and it actually worked. But it took a couple days to figure that out.
Oh yeah, but it's kind of fun to have those to have a team that can play, and figure stuff out, and you give them the bandwidth to do so, because that's what it takes. Yeah. It really does. It's crazy when you think about we've been in situations like that. I mean, we've been asked. We've got so many different prototypes. Like even right outside the office, there's a big wooden frame with like a picture on it. And that was an idea that one of our customers had. They wanted to have their logo with water pouring down in front of it, that kind of a thing. Like, let's see if we can build it. It's just, you try it and, sometimes it sells, sometimes it doesn't.
It sounds like a cool sign.
We'll see where it goes. Some of the things a lot of things that come up are very like, why the heck didn't we think of this? Somebody had an idea and we ended up calling it the cave light. And the guy that runs a garage door business, he's like, hey, you manufacture lights? I said, yeah. He's like, can you make one with a magnetic backing that can attach to the garage door rails that, when it goes overhead? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure we can. How the heck did we not think of that? It connects right to the garage door opener instead of having the little bulb. Yeah. Connect this stuff to it. It can power these lights. They're LED. And then you have light underneath where the garage door comes up. Even though it's blocked, it's blocking all the light coming down to your car. And we call it cave light for caves, like garages, crawl spaces, attics. We got to get the price point in line, so it's still in beta mode, but still nonetheless a cool idea.
Well, hey,
we chased it. We got a whole bunch of inventory sitting on the property right now.
Well, when you get it perfected, we have a garage door that goes into our garage studio. I need a cave light sponsor right now.
You know what? We talked about possibly doing some video wall work with you. I'll throw them in, okay?
Yeah.
We'll make sure that all your garages are taken care of with cave light. That I'm sure we'll be happy to do that.
Whatever you want to film, wherever you want to film it, we can film your show from just about anywhere. Want to film a special episode of your podcast in a new location? We can do that for you. How about creating your short form video content at home or in your office? We can do that for you. Whatever you want to film, wherever you want to film it, it's your show. We just produce it for you.
So it's interesting with the AI, because that's been a big topic for a lot of businesses lately that have been coming on. Most recently, we had Mr. Phil Cantrell with Benchmark Realty. He built a very large realtor broker service here locally. Great culture and everything. Great guy, great conversationalist. He basically talked about how AI is just dominating and changing the real estate business and could shake off some of these agents that are out there. What are you anticipating it for, like what you do? What do you guys see coming down the pike?
Well, I could answer that question a couple different ways. Like for us being in the media business, like it plays a massive role. Like anybody who's ever looked at buying magazine advertising probably remembers an editorial calendar. Mm-hmm. Why in the world we ever thought it made sense to sit down in November and map out the topics we were going to have in our magazines all the way through the end of next year? Mm-hmm. Whereas it is very, very simple to have an AI agent that just tracks what people are engaging with across all your platforms, what type of content they like, and look for trends. And now the AI agents are able to look at that data that we had before, but it would have taken 10 people, a week to figure it out. They do it in 3 seconds. And now my editors know exactly what content our audience wants in real time. So we don't do an editorial calendar anymore. It doesn't serve a purpose.
So you guys have more of the mindset of like, hey, let's keep our staff in place, not AI replacing people, but how can we evolve their jobs to accommodate, it's one less thing, one less task they have to tackle, but we could probably get something more that they can do on the other end.
Yeah, I mean, like we don't see AI as replacing our people at all. What it's really doing is it's letting our people do a better job. I mean, like, there's no way we could have reacted to what our audience wanted to see as fast as we can today.
Right.
And now AI for our customers is a I guess a different answer to the same question.
Yeah.
AI search is something that kind of came quickly. I was at the AIM Expo, which is the powersports, it's a powersports version of the National Auto Dealer Association, and I have a customer that was telling me that they had, and they actually do online digital retailing for powersports. Now, this is not like a guess. This is not an estimate. 1,000 people that transacted in the month of December took a survey and self-reported that they found the dealership they bought from with AI search.
Wow.
Now, if you're not paying attention to AI search, are you losing 30% of your market? A month later, I go to the National Auto Dealer Association, and I'm hearing from the tech companies that have similar experience and similar data that it's 40%. So if you're selling cars, why would you ever take the risk of missing 40% of your local market? And now I don't know the stats for real estate agents. I know you work with a lot of them, but I would venture to guess that there's a lot more that goes into buying a house than goes into buying a car. And I would guess that people are saying, I have a family this size. We like to go in the yard. My kids want to go to a good school. We want to be less than 20 minutes away from the freeway and nice restaurants. AI probably does a better job at recommending homes and where you want to live than it does recommending cars. So I would have to guess it's probably 50 or 60% in that market.
Okay, so a side note here.
Yeah.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Really?
Yes.
Because you said freeway.
Oh,
that's a California thing, man.
Oh, well, you know what? I've been on the road for the last 25 years.
Do you think a lot of business owners and businesses out there are aware? Because that's something I've been hearing about lately is how the traditional search model that we've become accustomed to over the last 20 years, 2 decades, it's shifting. And it's you better make sure that your website is trending on the AI platforms. And that's a big shift. It must be great work for all the website companies out there now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give you an example from my personal business. So this week before I came to the car wash show, I asked my AI, I said, can you tell me my customers that are spending the most on search and what they're spending their money on? Because
specific customers,
wow, okay. Because I want to talk to them about it. Because if they're putting all of that money into something that is less than half the people are even using anymore, and they're not looking at AI. AI search is not something that you're going to learn overnight, and right. We didn't learn it overnight. I mean, we really noticed in the fall of last year, and we had a team that was experimenting. And we were trying to figure out why some of our stuff was showing and other stuff wasn't, and how do we do it better and how we do it best. But I don't think that it's something that if you wait a year from now and then you decide you want to get in, your competition is probably going to roll over you the same way they did when the internet was new.
Well, that's the thing, is that's the diffusion curve, right? So you have all the different early adopters, and you've got the adopters, and it kind of goes up and then it comes around the top, and you got the laggards. Where are we on that diffusion curve, do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I don't know. I mean, I had already started my career when websites were new to businesses, right. And I had already started my career, when there was all these lead providers, and I've seen these things that change the industry or change the world a little bit over time. Yeah. I don't know that any of us have ever seen anything that is going to change the world as quickly as AI is. I mean, AI is so easy to use. If you're not at least playing with it, you're wasting time.
Yeah. I'm using it a lot more these days.
How do you use it?
Basically, a lot of it's for podcasting, coming up with, hey, write me a title and description that engages people on Facebook, on YouTube. Give me 2 different, approaches for each platform. Write one for the audio. Give me a bunch of tags and stuff like that. And it'll go through the entire conversation and write you all the different things. Now, you still have to look at it because it'll misspell names and all that fun stuff. We just had a fun go of it with one of my clients who the last name was Noack, but it spelled it Nowak, Noack.
Oh.
And, okay, let me go check that out. I'll go correct it, yada, yada, yada. I corrected everything, hit, save on the actual podcast deployment software. And it took I don't know if Apple's even updated it yet. So for some reason, it's just not updating the title. Which is, he's like, when is this going to do it? I'm like, dude, I don't know. It's up to Apple.
Oh,
You want to reach out to Apple, be my guest. But I just don't know why it's not taking. So it's not perfect. I know my kids are a big fan. They don't like AI at all. So have you heard that from the next generation?
You know, I haven't. But what don't they like about it? Like, what do they tell you? I'm curious.
It's an environmental thing. They don't like the amount of power and water that it uses to, they just don't like it. I think also the underlying aspect of it is, what does this mean for me? Because the job market's going to shift. Even though there's a lot of people who have a benevolent approach to, well, we want to preserve the jobs. We want to make sure that everybody still stays employed over time. Well, we can just have AI do this. There's no need to have a graphic designer anymore, because you could just literally AI. I did this the other day with one of our ideas for a company we're playing with, the idea of called J2 Media. I said, here's the logo. I want it to look like we specialize in video walls and blah, 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 blah. And it came up with 7 different options within 10 seconds. Wow. And I'm like, they look good. Okay, take the top one and the right bottom one, and let's play with it this way. And then all of a sudden, blah, 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 it comes, you know how it works.
Yeah.
It's replacing people. Now, the trades, I actually think now that I'm saying that, being that you are in the trades to a certain extent, especially from the repair and body shop aspect of things, there's a definite opportunity there, because the trades are going to be overloaded with talent coming up in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, and right now, I mean, there's not a dealership in America that wouldn't hire 5 technicians right now. And there's not an independent repair facility that wouldn't take 2. And there's not a body shop that wouldn't take 5. I mean, I know in the dealership world, a lot of dealers are getting out of the body shop business because they can't fill it with people.
They can't deliver.
And I wouldn't say that I'm the biggest proponent of AI. Like I'm not the guy that would take the stand and give a great argument for that it's not going to take jobs.
Yeah.
But I've heard the people that do make that argument. I mean, the tractor, when we had 70 to 90% of people in the United States worked in the fields, the tractor replaced all their jobs, and we made it. The assembly line, we made it. I think AI is going to come a little faster. The pain might be a little sharper. But imagine once we have all these people and all this production and all this more efficiency, if I knew what was coming next, I'd be a hedge fund guy, but I don't know what's coming next, but I'm confident that we're going to make it over this hump as well.
My business partner, actually both my business partners, they talk about the, what do they call it? The event horizon, so to speak, where it's some sort of a point of no return that they think will happen in 2034, that AI will surpass human intelligence essentially, and it'll become somewhat self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it, you think Terminator, you think all these different movies that were made, and AI decides that it doesn't need humans and blah, blah, blah. Though in recent discussions, I found a plot hole, pretty major one, especially with the Terminator movies, because how did they get rid of humanity in the movies?
Well, they didn't, did they? I mean, John Connor, does he? I've never seen.
How do they get rid of most of humanity? They get rid of most of humanity with nuclear weapons.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going, well, doesn't that kind of? I said, doesn't a nuclear weapon deploy an EMP?
It does.
Wouldn't it be killing itself if it did that?
It would. It would.
I'm like, James Cameron didn't think of that, but they talk about the only thing that AI, my business partners that I'm referencing, it cannot replace is food production, growing food. It still needs humans.
I actually heard of a technology that I thought was pretty fascinating. I mean, everybody's, I'm not the only one saying that Roundup causes cancer. The whole world talks about that all the time. Yeah. But I heard another podcast where they were talking about these tractors with lasers on them that will just go over the fields and they'll shoot the weeds. And it uses less energy, less water, no chemicals. And it's like, this is something that's starting to deploy.
Right.
So, and it uses AI. So maybe AI will save our lives.
I remember seeing machines like that in Terminator. It's crazy.
I think they were shooting the people though, right?
I believe they were shooting the people. Yes, they were going after the people.
Maybe we shouldn't give AI power over that tractor.
Well, but just make sure it discerns what a weed is and doesn't attribute weed qualities to humans. It's exciting, and kind of, scary at the same time. But we'll see how it plays out. And I mean, I'm a believer as well. And I'm like, people who are kind of wary of it, I said, the thing is that I can't see AI being mentioned in Revelation. I've never seen any notion of that concept in what's to come.
Yeah.
So either way, but I mean, using it for good in these days is probably what we're able to do, and the best we can do it. It's technology coming down the tracks that we're not going to stop.
Yeah.
You got to adapt and figure out what's coming for it. with the automotive aspect of it, because you and I had a phone call, and this is one of these things that you pick up on that I've noticed that you see holes in the market. The F&I thing that we discussed, I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. You know, I've heard a lot of people talk about F&I, and F&I is a challenge. I mean, most people buy cars at big dealerships in big cities where they've got 2 or 3 or 4, people that do F&I. Well, the majority of dealerships are not in big cities, and they have one person, and that person has a really hard job because they have to be there from ding to dong every day they're open. And maybe they get one day off and the sales manager, does the F&I, and now the customer experience is even worse because he's desking deals and he's doing the F&I. Well, now with technology, a lot of larger dealer groups and some providers are looking at a solution where you could do virtual F&I. So if you've got dealerships across the country, if one of them's busy and one of them's not, why can't the one where the people are not be doing the F&I and helping customers get out the door faster? They could, if you're in Dodge City and I'm in Atlanta and Atlanta's busy, the Dodge City guy could be doing the deal, or vice versa. And if you've got 100 stores or 50 stores or 20 stores, that opportunity is even greater. Like maybe they're in different time zones. And so, the busier times are different times. Maybe in different markets that are slammed on Saturday. In another market, maybe it's more of a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday thing. Yeah. So it gives you the opportunity to provide your F&I people with a life. Like imagine being an F&I, you work in the car business. Imagine an F&I manager who could go to his son's baseball games. That's a world that might exist here soon.
And it's like, why wouldn't you do so? It's fractional F&I in a way, because F&I, if anybody's listening, F&I is finance and insurance. Essentially, after you buy the car and the salesman writes up the paperwork, it's the little room that they call the box that every time you got to go sign off on the paperwork and they try to sell you more stuff.
Yep.
That's F&I. Okay, so for the layman people of what we're talking about, fractional F&I is a fascinating concept. But here's the issue. The other thing that my partners and I, we have these conversations every morning, and sometimes they'll be really just kind of surface level, but sometimes we'll really get philosophical. John, if you go to the show this week, which you'll be there, the car wash show, if you go by our booth, you'll meet John undoubtedly. Short guy, really crazy, frilly hair. He talked about something that Elon Musk recently talked about. In the next half decade to a decade, there could be a subscription service that just allows people to subscribe to car services, where if you want to go to work, it's a car service. Maybe you pay $40 a month, and the whole notion of owning a car is going to be lessened. And Elon said this, and it's like, that's interesting. And 5 years he's thinking this? He goes, oh, yeah. I'm like, well, think about 5 years ago. Where were we? Nobody ever thought we'd be getting food delivered to our house. And, DoorDash being what it was. I mean, DoorDash wasn't really a thing before COVID, but that changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only really 5 years after the fact, 6 years. Isn't that crazy?
It is. I mean, I could see that working for some people. I couldn't see that working for all people. I mean,
it'll take a generation or two. I mean, it's the people who enjoy driving. I could see them being hesitant to switching over, but this next generation coming up, they couldn't care less.
Yeah,
they don't care about cars. They don't care about any of that stuff, at least for now.
It might change when they start playing golf or hockey.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I don't want to say this too excitedly, but my wife's car is completely full.
Yeah. And
because she has pickleball stuff and dog stuff and shopping stuff and yard stuff, and she's always moving around and doing things. And I mean, my car's full of fishing stuff. Like I can't imagine that some car service is going to let me throw four fishing rods and 2 buckets of live bait in there.
You're going to have some sort of trailer hitch so you could put your stuff on. You just keep it in the trailer.
Let's patent that.
Like the junk trailer, just what you normally keep in your car, you keep in your trailer and just pop it on whatever car comes by.
That's a great idea.
It's not a bad idea. But that's the solve to the problem you're talking about. I get it, because cars are somewhat sort of a storage unit for most people too.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the reasons why people will complain. They're like, oh, this car is supposed to get XYZ gas mileage. Well, that's before you put 2 people in it and 75 pounds of stuff in the trunk.
Yeah.
Like the average trunk has 75 pounds of stuff in there. That, like, they shaved all the metal off of our our rotors on our brakes to get higher gas mileage, but then you throw 75 pounds of junk in the trunk, and you lose that gas mileage advantage.
That is a big difference when you go to a German vehicle like a Mercedes, and then go into something like a Hyundai. I mean, the differences are obvious, but I mean, What makes a Mercedes is the build. Is it's so muscular. There's so much protection between you and whatever happens outside in those cars. But at the same time, it's a 7,300 pound car.
Yeah.
That's what I'm driving. So, I mean, it's a freaking, you're not wrong. I mean, Mercedes did not try and make it a more fuel efficient vehicle.
Yeah.
Only in the electric vehicle did they do that when they had the EQ product going for a while. But I mean, the weight of that vehicle is mostly battery.
Yeah.
But
although, I mean, there's a lot of new battery technology that's kind of exciting. I mean, I don't own an EV, and I haven't owned an EV. My wife drives a hybrid. But like, there's a new, it's lithium phosphorus, which is, or lithium, is it lithium phosphorus? It's, what do you call iron? Is it ferrous?
Oh, ferrous.
Ferrous.
Yeah,
yeah. There's some new battery technologies that are lighter. They don't require all the rare earth minerals, which, a lot of people have objections to how cobalt is mined. A lot of people have objections to how a lot of that stuff is handled because it's not safe. But there's iron everywhere. Yeah. I mean, anywhere with orange dirt has iron, and that's half the United States. So there's plenty of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they're coming out with more technology, and they're figuring that's going to be a good way to source, because that's the one thing they talk about is, they see it as a cleaner energy source, but it's not. Do you watch Landman by chance? You ever see that show?
I've seen a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the one where he brings the lawyer out to the oil fields with all the turbines?
Oh, yeah.
The windmills, and he does the big speech about, she says, why is an oil company so interested in using clean energy? He says, there's nothing clean about this. And he goes into how much concrete it takes to pour the bases of these things. They require constant maintenance. The propellers and everything are made up with petroleum products. He says everything in the world, your mascara, your toothpaste, this, that, and the other thing, it all has petroleum in it. And we're running out of it. Believe you me, if these companies saw that this was the future, you'd see these things everywhere. But they're not.
Yeah. Well, and when the way that they measure the emissions on a car is they take a car and they put it in a box, and then they run it for so many miles, and that whatever comes out of the tailpipe, that's the emissions. Yeah. So they put an EV in there, and the EV runs for so many miles, there's no emissions. But the box doesn't encapsulate the coal fire plant that is making the electricity that is then transported and loses, because it's not an efficient transport of electricity, that loses a lot of it on the way to your house where you charge that car. Yeah. Like if the box should actually should also combine it with the coal plant or whatever plant is creating the electricity.
I tell you, all the Tesla drivers, all the EV drivers are laughing today because they're not having to pay these gas prices.
Yeah. Well, they're not laughing when they trade them in.
That's true. That's true. My business partner bought a Tesla back in late 22. And that was right before Elon decided to slash all the prices on the Model Ys. Oh, and he bought a Model Y. And all of a sudden they were selling for like 30 grand. Oh my gosh, is he upside down? I'm like, I can't, and he's not really emotional about it. He's like, it is what it is. I'm like, dude, you're $35,000 upside down. That's something, that'd make me nuts.
Yeah.
But I don't know how he got away with that, but it's Elon Musk. What can you do? Does your garage door sound like this? If it does, it's screaming for help. Call Incredible Doors, 931-348-DOOR. We're making garage doors in Murray and Williamson counties work better and sound better. We just make them incredible again. Go to IncredibleDoors.com or call 931-348-DOOR. Follow us on Facebook for specials on maintenance visits, keypads, and other items. 931-348-DOOR. IncredibleDoors.com. World's richest man, so...
I'd say if you're going to buy your first EV, don't buy it. I would lease it, because that way you put the risk on somebody else.
Oh, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I bought the 4xe around that same time, and it was a great car. It was a Jeep Wrangler, 4xe technology. It started right. I only had one issue where I was at Home Depot and I went back to the car, and for some reason something got wonkified and it wouldn't start. And then after a couple of cycles of starting, it finally went, and I just took it to the dealership and they looked at it. Something needed to be replaced. It was fine. It was under warranty. But it was a good car, but so many recalls. There had to be, the 2-3 years that I owned it, there had to be like 7 recalls. I just got tired of it. And every time there was a recall, you'd see like the perceived value of the car just plummet.
Plummet.
Yeah.
I mean, the recalls are more than they've ever been right now. But you also have to consider the technology. Like, how long have we had the internal combustion engine? We've had it for a long time. We've had a long time to perfect it. We keep making it better and better and better. These EVs and these hybrids, it's new technology. I mean, we kind of rushed to market a new technology, and the fact that we don't have more. The fact we don't have more recalls and that we're able to have the safety that we have. I mean, it is impressive what they've been able to do.
Well, you're seeing also the industry pulled back on the rush to get them out there.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's more hybrid EV technology now. They gas, and that's what the Jeep was. You could plug it in. You had 25 miles on the battery, which was fantastic. I could get up to Franklin and back and not burn an ounce of gas. And I think I would get 700-800 miles out of a tank.
Wow.
In a Jeep. And it was only a 15-gallon tank. So you're seeing a lot, like Mercedes has got the GLE 450E. That's what it's called, not the GLE E. And that's a plug-in hybrid. I would like to very much try that out because it's supposed to get 50 miles on the charge, and then the engine kicks in when it doesn't need it. And I don't know. I just think that it's a good product, and that would probably be my next vehicle, if not a Tesla.
Yeah, my wife Karen and I joke a lot about the fuel range of the hybrids. The fuel range of a hybrid is longer than my range. Like, I'm going to have to stop to go to the bathroom before the car needs to stop to get fuel.
Yeah. That's the only thing really holding it back. But I mean, if you got the subscription to the superchargers, what is it, charge in half an hour or something like that? Is that on the Teslas?
Well, I mean, a lot of the newer ones are advertising, 178, 200 miles on a 15-minute charge.
Yeah.
I mean, in New Jersey, where I live, it takes 15 minutes to get gas because you're not allowed to pump it. You got to wait for somebody to come over and do it for you.
That's right. I forgot. They're still doing that there.
Still doing it.
And the gas is really inexpensive.
The gas is actually not bad in New Jersey compared to a lot of other places.
I remember working up in New York, and if I could cross the border into New Jersey to get gas, I would, because it was probably a good full $1 less than everywhere else at the time. This is 30 years ago, but so they're still doing full serve there.
Yep, you're not allowed to pump it. In fact, during COVID, it was hard because they didn't have enough people to pump gas. So you'd pull into like a Wawa that would have 20 pumps, but they'd have one guy, so you had to wait in line forever to get gas. I wasn't alive in the 70s to see the fuel lines, but I imagine that was kind of like what it was like.
You weren't alive in the 70s? Really?
I was born in the 70s. 77.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
77?
Yep.
Okay, we're about the same age.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we barely remember the 70s.
Yeah. I wasn't driving a car.
No, neither was I. We were in the big old boats that my parents used to drive. That was a 1978. I think the first car I was familiar with was a 1978 Ford Thunderbird. Talk about a boat of a car. Big old V8 engine. I think she got 3 gallons to the mile.
Yeah.
But you talked about your company being multi-generational, third-generation ownership right now.
Yes.
How did they make sure, because you always hear about, people who start a business, it gets rocking and rolling, second generation takes it over. Typically, they don't, I want to say it's like 85% of the time, they don't exactly keep the same North Star as the original, the first generation had, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then the third generation typically ruins it and they run it into the ground. What was the difference here? What did they do right?
I can't really speak to the first or second generation because I never met them.
Right.
Third generation, Bill Babcox, our CEO, he's the only Babcox that I've met other than his children. Yeah. And he's probably the power behind why we've shifted so fast. He really encourages us to what's next? And one of the terms we used when we turned 100 years old was that we were 100 years young. Mm-hmm. And so we are very much encouraged to, continually adapt. It is frowned upon if you don't use AI at Babcox right now. Everyone at Babcox is expected to use AI. Right. They'll pay for us to have accounts. They want us on their plan. They give us training. We talk about it all the time. We share successes. It's a really neat environment to try to push what's next. And really, in fact, unless you want to make a large capital investment into something, if you want to try something new marketing wise, we're encouraged to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is your relationship? Is he accessible? Is he in the same building with all you guys?
Yeah. When I gave you the tour, right down the hall from my office, he's in the corner. Right. And we have a policy at Babcox. The doors are always open, which I imagine the people with offices near me, because I talk loud, probably hate that. But my wife always tells me, she says, shut your door.
Because that's a great thing. I mean, that's probably what kept them, keeps them going as much as they're with the same ferocity and momentum that they have now. I think that has something huge to do with that, because when I came here to Nashville, the company that owned our radio stations was a third generation ownership as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now they got out of radio after a while, long after a couple of years after I got out of radio, and the ownership group that had it, they sold the company to another radio group, but they stayed as a company that invested in other companies and are now just kind of like seeding and investing and growing other different kinds of companies in whatever spaces they can be experts in. Mm-hmm. But same kind of situation. It was the president of the company was in the building, open door policy. He was a drummer. I was a drummer. We used to have long conversations. Even though he was the president, it was like we were just buds.
Yeah.
And that was such a cool thing, man. I mean, that really does make a big difference. You know?
I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, I work from home when I'm home, but I'm home less than half the time. And when I'm in Akron, Ohio, I mean, it's kind of nice. I mean, COVID kind of made us all hide in our caves. And I don't even have a cave light in my cave, but I'm going to get one. I'm going to get one. But
that's right.
I love going to Akron because, I mean, the people that I work with are great. I mean, they're fun. They're my friends. I mean, I know all about them, and people come over and talk to you, and you share ideas. And like people, you like, even if I'm working on something for Auto Success, which is for car dealers, I can pull in the publisher of Tire Review because he's the best. He's the best at AI search. Like, he is the best at it. Right. His name's David Sickles. Like, I love pulling him in. And he'll help me. Like, it's great. Like, I can pull people from other brands, and they'll all, sit down and talk to a customer or about a customer to come up with the best plan for that marketing campaign.
So you're doing a whole bunch of stuff in your role there, because you're not just pigeonholed into one thing. You're allowed to kind of say, hey, if I got an idea, I know I could bring it to the table. If I see a hole in the market for an idea, I know I can bring it to the table. If I want to host a podcast, because that's what you did when I came there, you're the one who hosted it.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that's part of your job? Always?
It wasn't until, I guess, about 5 years ago. At one point, I hosted a lot of our webinars, and then we have a webinar team that does that. And so I didn't have to do that anymore.
Right.
And then we got heavily into podcasts, and I kind of did it by necessity because I started with the car dealership thing. And if you're going to talk about F&I or floor plan or some of the more complex parts of the car business, a lot of our people hadn't done that before. So I was like the best person that could talk anything in the car dealership world. And then the powersports world, I kind of took on that role for Motorcycle Powersports News because, I mean, the car dealership and the powersports dealership are almost the same business, just different stuff. Yeah. And then the car wash world is even though it's from the outside, it looks very different. It's not. They're real estate businesses that have lots of customers. I mean, and they're very technology driven. So those are the three that I host. Now on the tire side, I'll let David Sickles handle that because I learn a new word about tires almost every week.
Really?
There are so many, like when you look at the tread of a tire, there's like 20 different things there that you're looking at, like nodes, and there's things that kick out rocks and things that help to channel water out and things that help to like make the mud not stick. And there's actually sidewall tread. I've learned more this year about tires than I thought even existed.
Now, did you ever sell cars or anything like that before you came to Babcox? Was there any experience in the automotive industry?
Yeah. When I graduated college, my dad said if I wanted people to take me seriously, I needed to go sell cars and be a manager. So I did that for a year. And then I was like, boy, I've had enough. I became a consultant for RL Polk. And that was a lot of fun because I had only been on an airplane once when I was really little. And all of a sudden I was getting picked up at a little airport in Cincinnati, and they were flying me and the pilot were flying to a different city every day because, when you're a consultant, they want to bill every single day.
Right.
And then, COVID kind of put an end to that because those little airports got closed for a little while. Or not COVID, I'm sorry. 9/11. Yeah. 9/11 put an end to that. And actually, when that happened, I had just signed a year contract. And so the company I worked for paid me for the year and allowed me to start my own business. So I became an independent consultant and then got tired of traveling. And I decided that maybe I would go work for Auto Success. And 21 years later, here I am.
There you go.
Yeah.
So where did you work when you sold cars? What did you sell?
I sold, this is going to date myself. I sold Pontiac, Buick, Olds, GMC.
So Chrysler dealer.
No, that's General Motors.
General Motors.
Yeah.
Chrysler. What am I thinking? It's so funny because I'm watching a documentary. Every morning I'll pop it on before I come into work and watch about 15 minutes of this series. And it's The Cars That Built America. It's a History Channel documentary, docuseries rather. And right now they're going through where the big three have already been established. A lot of it's about Henry Ford and his origin story of how I never realized the Model T was, the 20th iteration of coming up to where it actually became successful. That's why in the alphabet, T, I think, is the 20th letter. So he had a Model A, Model B, Model C, so on and so forth. And it took him all the way up to the T to, okay, that's the right one. And I'm like, every time I have somebody on this podcast, we always talk about the time it takes and the iterations it takes to become not successful, or at least you have something. There's something that's got traction. It takes about 5 years, maybe 5 to 7 years. And it's always that number. And it's amazing that it took Henry Ford about the same amount of time. 5 years to figure out, okay, and 20 iterations. And God knows how much gobs of money he put into that to develop that vehicle with that one North Star in mind to make it affordable for the everyman and change the complete landscape, literally, of this country. It's nuts. Yeah. It's crazy, man, when you think about it.
Well, and all the things that he came up with. I mean, the way the assembly line worked, the way that every part was the same and interchangeable. I mean, like, that seems so simple to us
One person working on one thing in the assembly line.
Yeah, like it seems like we would look at it and say, well, why would you do it any other way? Well, the thing is no one had ever done it that way before. Ever.
You know who he based it on?
What?
The cattle industry. Beef.
Really?
So basically they had a disassembly line in the beef because they would have people at different stations doing whatever they needed to do to disassemble the cow, so to speak. And he just like, what if we did that in reverse? And that's what gave him the idea.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
But the reason why I brought that up is because they talk about Chrysler was once an employee of General Motors. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. The guy who, I can't remember his first name. And then the Dodge brothers were also partnered with Henry Ford once upon a time. And then he started becoming a lot bigger in terms of his personality. They didn't like that, which I think caused a rift. And now they're bringing in, I can't remember his first name, but Chevrolet. And Chevrolet, I believe, he's trying to work for General Motors, but he's like, well, I've always had an idea to have my own car company. And the CEO of General Motors at the time is like, oh yeah, what's the idea? I says, I just want to call it Chevrolet.
Oh, wow. Hey. Well, that's very fitting for the car business.
Yeah.
You don't see a whole lot of buildings without somebody's name on them.
No, it's a huge, a big deal for sure. So you made it, how long did it take you to make it to manager, to make it to the desk when you were sold?
Oh, well, I became a BDC manager because I had run a high pressure window sales company in college. And so I was really, really good with
high pressure. Like high pressure pressure washing, or high pressure sales?
Oh no, 65% first night close. Like we didn't even follow up with you if we didn't sell you.
Really?
It was high pressure. Yeah, everybody was a model home. If you've ever seen the movie Tin Men, that is pretty much what we did.
Nice.
And it was all college kids. We would go out and sell windows
door to door.
We didn't even own a screwdriver.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was all subcontractors. We didn't make the windows. We didn't install the windows.
Dude. So you did door-to-door sales?
Door-to-door. I had door knockers and telemarketers and then salespeople that would go in. So going in the car business made it, people say the car business is where you cut your teeth.
No.
Man, I used to have my window thrown out the front door 3 times in the same day.
Oh my God. That's a grind.
It is a grind.
How many no's would you get versus yeses? What was the conversion?
Well, if we didn't have at least 1/3 of our customers cancel with a 3-day rescission period, we would figure you weren't closing hard enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we had a low price guarantee, but no one ever checked. And we didn't either.
And this is what, in the early 2000s?
Yeah, the statute of limitations is gone on that one. So I can talk about it.
What I'm saying is that back then you didn't really you had the research capabilities of the internet, but not to the extent that they were.
This was the late 90s, actually. This was like 95 to like 2000.
That's when Yahoo was popular.
Yeah, nobody was doing any of that. Like we would just say, you have a week to if you find a lower price, we'll either match it or you're out of the contract. And people are lazy, so they never got another estimate.
Are you glad you did that kind of work early on?
Yeah.
Are you really happy? Because I look at when I was in that same era, I was playing freaking Yahoo checkers while, handling an air shift at I-95 in Connecticut. And I'm like, it was fun at the time and I had a great time. I look back on that, I'm like, crap, if I just freaking honed my sales skills back then, man, I'd be so much farther.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you start where it's hard, when you're young, you don't know.
Yeah,
like,
you don't know.
Like, I mean, I used to joke that, that I would have jumped in front of a bus for that company because here I am 19 and I have a cell phone and 2 cars. I didn't know any different. And so they said, you're supposed to do it. I did it and excelled.
They loaded your lips and off you went.
Yes. Yep. Back then we would have to call the boss and get permission to leave the house, and tell him why the customer wasn't going to buy. And he would try to tell you how to close. And I did it for 5 years. I never got permission to leave. Not one time. There was never a reason.
So basically, did you have to TO the customer to the manager on the phone?
He would just tell you what to say, and then you would call back, and he would tell you what to say, and eventually you would get thrown out like that, or you'd have a contract. That was it.
It was buy or die.
I mean, my window bounced off a tree many times.
Oh wow!
Yeah, people get out.
What was the most egregious scenario that you had doing door to door? What was the most oh my gosh, this guy was ready to kill me?
Though there was a guy, and this was in Northern Kentucky, and just so you know, he did buy the windows, but he asked me if I wanted to smoke crack with him, and I was like, I don't think so. I was like, no, thank you. But he got approved. So
wow,
yeah, he got approved.
I mean, I did sell rainbow vacuums once upon a time. I'm not sure if that really counts. That's not necessarily door to door. The part of the sales process was that we would ask them for 5 to 6 other friends of theirs. Say, hey, they're going to get the same exact experience you're going to get. They're going to have an opportunity to win a trip on this cruise. They're going to get a set of Ginsu knives. That was our lead in, I guess. We had a set of Ginsu knives. I don't know if they were even good. Remember Ginsu knives?
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Never seen one.
They were massive. They were always advertised, and they always cut the tomato can in half and stuff like that. So, so we'd give those as gifts. Okay, here's your gift for having to endure the next hour of this presentation, which we made very, very entertaining. And I ended up selling a good portion of it, but the company I was working for tried to screw me, and the customer found out through a friend of theirs that they could buy the same ones at the Big E, this local fair we would have every year. I'm like, oh yeah, you can get them for $500. And okay, well, we'll just buy them there. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? He's like, well, if you sell it for any less than we, have it priced, you're not getting a commission. I said, oh, really? I drove my ass all the way out here and I'm not getting a commission. Okay. They still want to buy the thing, but you're paying me my commission.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're taking the loss, not me. Well, if this is your choice, no, it isn't. And that ended that.
Oh,
yeah. I was done after that. So, getting into the car business in my 30s was interesting, to say the least. Best education of my life, easily. But, you kind of did it early on, and you just, this is it.
Yeah.
This is kind of how things are.
I mean, you have to admit that you miss kind of the camaraderie. I mean, even if somebody that wasn't in the car business listened to the way that people talk to each other before the doors open, they would think that you hated each other, but you actually love each other. I mean, everybody's telling dirty jokes and they're calling you the names that you would never say on a podcast. And, but I kind of miss it. I mean, you miss all those friends,
When I made the decision go from Honda to Mercedes, my wife was like, she said, so how do you feel about leaving Honda? I said, I really love working with these guys. I mean, that's the biggest thing I'm going to miss is the people. And I said, I have no idea what I'm going into. I have no idea what kind of customer it's going to be. It actually turned out to be 100 times easier because, the customer knew what they want. They could afford it. They got approved. It was like, just show them the stuff. And, there wasn't much closing that had to be done. They were already closed, unless they were shopping you against Lexus and all the other brands and stuff like that, which over time I figured out how to overcome by the quality of the car. I did the door knock test and I'm like, oh yeah, Lexus is a great brand. I mean, fantastic brand, very, very reliable. I said, for a high-end Toyota, fantastic brand.
There you go.
And they'd go, high-end Toyota. Oh yeah, it's the luxury version of a Toyota. You could say, if you want an Avalon or an ES, you can buy an Avalon for $25,000 cheaper. It's the same car. Oh, it is? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, listen to the sound that a door makes on a Lexus. And it was always like really lightweight doors, and they didn't insulate them very well. So I'd knock on the door and it would reverberate. Oh. And I'd go up to the Mercedes and it would be like, it was just solid, man. I said, that's the difference. Mercedes doesn't have a counterpart. Yeah. Neither does BMW. I said, but BMW basically backwards just wants Mercedes-Benz. So
that's a good one.
Yeah. And they would always make them laugh. So I got really good at it, man. It was a fun business. Just too bad I had to work for Sonic.
You know, I never got to sell luxury vehicles. But for a long time when I was doing consulting, I worked with some luxury stores, and you know, it did seem like an easier sale. And but the ones that I always thought were the most funny is I worked with a lot of stores that dealt with the lower credit. And I had a customer in Northern Kentucky, which is right next to Indiana, right next to Ohio. And he used to joke around and say, I don't sell cars. I reunite families across the tri-state, because they'd be calling their grandma to co-sign, and they'd be calling their uncle for a down payment. And they'd be calling everybody. And a day later, their whole family it's like a family reunion at the dealership.
Oh, that's great. I'm a family reuniter. Yeah. Now, you never wanted to sell luxury? You just never had the opportunity?
I just never did. I mean, I went and worked for a friend of my dad's at his dealership, and I knew that I wanted to get into the software side or the consulting side. I liked more of the bigger business, and I was really into, you know, being a young guy who was single. I wanted to travel. I thought that was cool, and it was cool until it wasn't. I mean, it does get tiring after a while.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
You get married, you settle down, and everything like that. How long have you been married?
6 years.
6 years.
Yep.
Wow, it's a long time. Off camera in the studio is Brian's wife. So,
yeah,
you know, watching all this madness go down. Yeah, it's funny because did you see like people who worked in the luxury dealerships as kind of like a different breed? Like being on the outside, is that how you perceive them?
You know, they definitely dress nicer. Yeah. I don't know if they were a different breed. They seem very similar. Yeah. They definitely dress nicer. They're dealing with fewer customers, but probably definitely, you know, more demanding customers. But I would see kind of similar. I wouldn't think that somebody that succeeded in either role couldn't succeed in the other.
See, at the time, because we owned, when I worked for Honda, I went to Honda because I owned a Honda. I knew the people there. I'd worked with them when I was in radio. I did a lot of work with the management teams and stuff like that, doing video and audio and all their radio spots. Mm-hmm. And the GM always said, hey, if you ever want to come over here, you can make over $100,000 a year. And I was like, oh, that sounds good, but it's not, you know, selling cars. I mean, it's not exactly something that I want to do. But, you know, at some point in my life where we needed to make more money, I'm like, well, kind of done with radio. Let's give this a shot. And it lasted about 7 months because the guy who hired me and always was like my buddy, the GM, he ended up getting out in the business entirely within 3 months of me going hiring on. I'm like, okay, dude, thanks, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I get it. You know, I made a pivot out of my career and you're making a pivot out of yours. But he, we had other stores in the group, like Sonic here locally. They own the Honda store. Next door to us was Cadillac. Since it's gone away, they don't do Cadillac anymore. But they also own Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, all the high-end brands. So every now and then we'd go to the other stores to get a car that they might have had, and we always used to trade them and stuff like that because a customer might find something that they like and like, oh, we could trade for it. So you'd go to these stores, go pick up the car and bring it back. And every time I'd walk into the BMW dealership, I felt less than. I mean, they saw the Crest Honda tag and they're like, oh, down the nose at you. I was serious. It might have been just in my head. I don't know. But I had a customer one time. He was in the car business too. We're out on a driving an Accord. He goes, you're in the wrong dealership. And at the time, they were building a Lexus dealership at the top of the hill up from where we were. He says, you need to be working for these guys. I said, Lexus? He goes, yeah. I said, dude, I don't see myself as selling Highline. He goes, why not? I just never thought of myself. I feel like I'd be completely out of my league. He goes, you totally can do it. You need to do it. Just by the way you're handling yourself right now, you need to do this. He says, I was in the business. You could totally do it. Dude, my wife could have told me this, my brother, my kids, my mom. I would have told them you're out of your freaking mind. You don't know what you're talking about. You're saying this because you know me. This guy who didn't know me from Adam. And it got me thinking like, you know what? Sure, why not? There was plenty of reasons to leave the dealership at that time. So I opened up the website and they were hiring for Mercedes and the rest is history, man. It was one of the best decisions I ever made. It was crazy. That business taught me so much more than college.
Hi, I'm Jason Miller. I'm the owner of Christian Brothers Automotive here in Spring Hill, Tennessee. We fix cars here, both European and domestic, from simple oil changes to complete engine rebuilds and replacements. Most important thing, though, is while you're waiting, we've got the best snack game in town, and we invite you to make yourself at home and get to know us, and we treat you like family. We're located right across the street from Walmart on Highway 31 right here in Spring Hill. Let us know that you heard about us on this ad, and we'll give you 10% off your next oil change. So stop on in and see us in downtown Spring Hill. Do we even have a downtown in Spring Hill?
You know, and there you can either sell or you can't sell, and it's really a choice, because you know where the selling starts is where comfort ends. You know, you're going beyond what's a comfortable conversation, and you're asking somebody to do something.
Yeah.
And you either have the ability to do that or you don't. And so it doesn't really matter if you're comfortable with encouraging people to make a good decision.
Yeah.
Then you can sell anything. And if you're not, then you shouldn't be selling.
And I wonder if, like, a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, I know a lot of them that don't consider themselves to be strong salespeople. I'm like, isn't that the first rule? If you're a business owner, you should at least be a good salesperson. You got to sell what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that some people think of sales as where you're selling somebody something that they don't need or that they shouldn't have. As opposed to a doctor is a salesman. A doctor is going to encourage you to take your pills, and he has to sell you on taking your pills. And it's a good idea to take your pills, but it's still selling. And so even you don't have to be, getting over on somebody to be a salesperson. You're just helping them to make a decision that is a good idea to make. Right. And you're taking a little bit of the fear away. And we all have fear in decisions. And so,
except for doctors use fear to make you.
Yeah, that's true.
If you don't take the pill, you're going to die.
Yeah, that's true. I've never seen a car that if you didn't buy, you were going to die. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Used Cars, where he puts the rock behind the car, and they back up, and the beagle dog plays dead, and he's holding the beagle dog, and he's like, Toby would have liked you to buy the car.
I know of the movie, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. Wasn't it with Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
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 That my buddy who actually I met one of my better friends I have today. I met him when at that Honda dealership. He's my money guy now. And he talks about that movie all the time. He's like, dude, I got into the business. If you've ever seen the movie Used Cars, that's how the business was.
It was.
You hear tales about, hey, they threw my keys up on the roof. Like, that stuff really happened. Not when I got in. I'm like, I found out I got into when I was in my late 30s, and I had a couple of laps around the sun. Mm-hmm. A lot of the guys that get into it get shaped from early on. They're late 20s, coming out of college, mid 20s or so, still a little wet behind the ears. So I wasn't as shapeable, but I had the open mindset to let the managers know that, look, even though I'm older than your average bear that you guys normally get on the floor, I don't know anything. And I'm going to keep that attitude. I'm not going to pretend like I know how to do this. But I will push back on you when you try to posture to me. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to take your guff. All right. I'm shapeable. I have a good attitude, but you're not going to do it by intimidation, because that was one of the biggest things that they do. That's one of the biggest things that the dealerships, that it gives them a black eye, and it probably extends to the customer when they go to buy a car, is how the salespeople are treated on the front lines.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's why they get such a bad. Because when I went to the Mercedes dealership, it was told to me, hey, the general manager said, I like harmony. This is a gentleman's floor. We don't stab each other in the back. We don't steal deals. We try to work together. If we worked with the same customer, we try to find common ground. I said, dude, I'm in. I love it. Because I've seen some stuff like guys snaking deals on other guys, and they'd get that reputation and everyone would stay away from them. You'd always get one or two in a dealership.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't have to be this way. Why? It's just crazy. So everything that you did it help you with what you currently had to?
Oh, yeah. And, at one point I used to have a sales training company called 30 Sales a Month. I was a partner with Fran Taylor. And,
Fran.
Yeah. And so I actually, through a lot of my entire career has been building relationships. Mm-hmm. And so the great thing is since 2000, I got in the car business, and here we are, 2026. I'm still talking to people that I met in 2000. Like I don't have to if somebody says, oh, who do you know at this company? I probably know half the people there. Yeah. And so working at the dealership helped. Working for doing the 30 sales a month thing, that was a blast. Going around doing sales trainings all over the country, and and met a ton of people and a ton of people in dealerships. Like, like for instance, now, like we have a thing called Women at the Wheel for Auto Success Magazine. And, we had a couple dealerships that had submitted people and they weren't getting back to us. Well, I knew people there. So I just called them. I said, hey, get us the stuff. And they did, it's kind of, it's a big industry, but it's a small industry. If you've been in the car business for 10 years, you probably know at least 20% of the people that are in the whole, retail automotive industry.
What do you think AI and, the way things are kind of going, you're seeing the paradigm shift with Tesla, how they're being sold more direct to consumer. Do you see that becoming a thing? I've heard rumblings in other organizations, manufacturer organizations that are saying that the dealership model might be kind of going by the way of the dinosaur. You think that's any validity to that?
Well, I do know that there are multiple states in the United States where there are challenges to the dealerships to be having or to use a dealership to sell your vehicles. None of them have been successful yet. I think you made a good point about the Mercedes buyer. That's also the Tesla buyer. They own their trade. They have an 800 credit score. They have $10,000 down and they know what they want. Yeah. You also worked at a Honda store. They come in, they got a 600 credit score. They've had their job for 3.5 months.
What can you get me?
Yeah. They had a repo 5 years ago and they have $500 down, but they would rather not put it down.
Right.
I think that the majority of car buyers require somebody to help them, and maybe AI will do that someday. And in fact, there's a company out of Japan that has recently announced they're going to try to bring kiosks that are AI driven, where you walk into a dealership and you can talk to this kiosk and buy a car. I'm not a believer. Prove me wrong, but if it works, it works. But I really feel like the car deal, people are insecure when they're buying a car. They're not sure what they want. How many people walked into that Honda store and left with the car they came to buy? It wasn't half. It wasn't even half.
Right.
So
my first deal was a Honda Odyssey, and it was an attorney and his family because his family was growing.
Yeah.
And it was an instant success in terms of relationship because he and I were in the same boat, so to speak, with family. And I had a Honda Odyssey and I could speak the language. Here's how we use our Odyssey, and so instant connection made. Machines, that's going to be the toughest part about it, is how do you make a relationship with a machine? Am I saying it's not possible? No. I think the AI could develop where, people are already talking to ChatGPT like it's a friend. That's around the corner.
Or a girlfriend or a boyfriend.
That's true.
I've heard there's like a growing amount of people that are having like relationships with AI, which just seems crazy.
Gary V talks about people who said, look, your next generation, your kids and possibly your grandkids will be marrying AI robots.
Wow.
And I'm going, really?
That's pretty wild.
And he says, I'm calling it right now.
I'll tell you whose job the AI is going to take away is the people that clean houses. Like from what I've heard, these humanoid robots, like sometime by like 2027, 2028, you're going to be able to buy one on a subscription for like $500 to $600 a month that will fold your laundry, do your laundry, clean your house, do your dishes. Like that. You want to talk about a deal? That's a deal.
Like Rosie from the Jetsons.
Yeah. She flew though, didn't she? I don't think these are going to fly. Didn't she kind of hover?
She was, no, she had wheels.
Oh, she had wheels.
And she was built like a trash can, but she had the apron on and the maids, whatever they wear. So they made her look like a maid, but it was Rosie, the robot maid.
I can't wait for that. That sounds great.
Have you ever heard the urban legend of those two shows, the Jetsons and the Flintstones?
No.
There's a reason why the Jetsons lived up in the sky and he never went down to the ground, because they already nuked each other back to the Stone Age. That's where the Flintstones lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never heard that.
So they were in the same universe, but they just basically, the Jetsons were up in the sky and where everything was still clean and everything that got nuked.
Oh, was the Flintstones.
It was the Flintstones. Like, that's an interesting theory.
That is an interesting theory.
So how do people find and follow you? What kind of people are you looking out for moving forward to nurture your business?
Well, anybody who has a product or a service that can help a car dealership, a car wash, a powersports dealership, a tire, body shop, aftermarket parts. Babcox, we've got a lot of brands. You can see us at babcox.com. And if you're selling in the automotive world, we can probably help you do it better. And whether that is print, because we still do that, or anything technology wise. We're the largest automotive business to business publisher in the world. So if you've seen it done, we do it. I won't bore you with all those things, but if you need AI search, if you need video, give me a call. Love to help you.
There you go. And everything can be found at babcox.com.
Yep. And my email is Bankney, Bankney at Babcox.com.
It's an easy website, man. You cannot get that wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, talk about saying it over the phone. Just go to Babcox. You could spell that.
Yeah.
It's not COCKS. So just so you know.
Yeah, it's COX.
COX.
Yeah. Yeah, let's spell it right.
Well, let's make sure we get that out there.
Yeah.
Well, man, thanks for coming all the way out here. You're one of my first guests in a long time that's been out of the area, and it's always a great conversation to have with you. Make sure that all the details, you find them in the description. The website will be there as normal. And, of course, for us, if you want to follow or share the episode, you got some sort of value on it. I know we were very heavy in the automotive car business and regaling stories in that arena in this episode. But if you feel like somebody might get some value out of it, send them to MMTBP.com. That's mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.com. Either way will work, but we've truncated it down to 5 letters. So MMTBP.com. Brian, we'll see you this week. Thanks for coming out, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.